Well, hello artists. Today we're going to be talking about how to use Photoshop to take a photograph and turn it into a coloring book that we're going to be using for the next lesson, which is on the painting and editing using the paintbrush tool. Let's get started. File, Open. We're going to go to Courses, Art, Computer Graphic Lessons in our Photoshop Lessons folder. There's a folder called Paintbrush Lesson, and it should be called Coloring Book Lesson. All right, let's immediately save this. File, Save As. We're going to save this in your cloud documents, lesson on the Photoshop lessons. Put your name, of course, and coloring book, and click Save. All right, so we're starting with actually is a full color print. It kind of looks almost black and white, but you can use any full color photograph for this. I just happen to use this one because I think it works really well for the lesson, but when you get started on the project, you may find that it's a little challenging to find an image that works really well for this, but for today in our lesson, we're going to go ahead and use this one. All right, so first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our Layers panel is open. So if it is not, go up to Window and go to Layers. This is a pretty easy video lesson to follow along with. There's only about 5 or 6 key steps, but you do need to follow them in order. All right, the first step is we need to desaturate this image. So we're going to go to Image Adjustments, Desaturate. That's step number 1. Stop and do that now. All right, step number 2 is we're going to drag that layer down onto the New Layer button to create a background copy layer. Stop the video, do that now. Next step is on our background copy layer. For the layer mode, you're going to go to Normal, and depending on the lightness or darkness, if you have a very light image, you're going to want to go to Color Burn. If you have a very dark image, you're going to go to Color Dodge, but we're going to go to Color Burn. And then we want to even out our levels here. We don't want a lot of grays. What we're trying to get is some nice whites and some dark blacks and get rid of those grays. So we're going to go up to Image Adjustments, Levels. And again, you can see here we have a lot of these lighter gray tones. We're going to try to move the dial so it is primarily white and black. So I'm going to up my whites and up my blacks until I get a nice black and white image. The crisper our differences between the black and white, the less work we're going to have to do in a little bit here. All right, stop the video, do that now. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to blur out some of these details just a little bit because we are turning this into a coloring book. So still on your background copy layer, we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we're just going to blur this a little bit, like 0.2, 0.1, somewhere around there. We're not going to blur it very much. You can turn your preview on and off. We're just going to get rid of some of those minor details. Do that until you're happy and click OK. All right, next step is to flatten these into one layer. So we're going to go to Layer, Flatten Image. Stop the video, do that now. All right, and then the next step is we need to reset our default colors. We need to reset this to black on white. So we're going to click on this button here because we're going to be using our sketch filters. So we're going to go up to Filter, Filter Gallery, and we're going to click under these sketch filters and we're going to click on the stamp filter. You can dial this up and down, but just remember that whatever lines you lose, you're going to have to draw those back in. So we're not trying to go crazy here. I wouldn't take your smoothness very far to the right. I'm going to leave mine that looks about good, and I'm going to click OK. Try that now. All right, excellent. From here, let's go ahead and go to File, Save, or File, Save As. If you haven't saved it, but we should have saved it already once, so we should be able to simply go to File, Save As, and check this it's in your Documents folder, and it is. All right, the last thing we're going to do here is we are going to connect some of our lines. So with our foreground color still set to black, we're going to grab our pencil tool. It's in the drawer with the paintbrush. You may need to zoom in a little bit, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to fill in these lines. And this is where if you have the drawing tablet, you may want to get that out. If you don't, it's just going to be a little bit easier than using the mouse. All right, so with your pencil tool here, and we're going to change and make sure that we've got a nice hard brush. And we're going to come across, oops, I need to make mine quite a bit larger. Not that large. Let's see. Size 7 looks about good for me. And I'm just going to fill in the gaps. I want to connect all of my lines. So I'm going to take my time, I'm going to use the pen, and I'm going to connect as many of these things as I can. Remember, you can always edit, undo. I'm going to close in the bottom of these little flowers. I'm even going to outline this top one. This is really important because we are going to be filling this one in. So you need to make sure it's closed in, so you'll have to draw over your little butterfly's legs. Important that you don't have any breaks in your lines. And that looks pretty good. So stop the video and fill in all your lines now. All right, the next thing we're going to do here is we are going to draw a horizon line in here. So we're going to have some difference between our ground and our sky. And we're going to just do this as an irregular line. So with the same pencil tool, I want you to start on the left-hand side, and we're just going to click, and I just want you to make an irregular line shape until it touches that first flower there. And then go ahead and bring it up across to the next stem. And then for the last, we're going to do a straight line. So I'm going to show you how to create a straight line with your drawing tools. So if I click and just start my line and I hold down my shift key, now if I click and drag, notice it's going to be a completely horizontal line. So I want one nice irregular kind of horizon line to the left and the nice straight line to the right. Stop the video, do that now. All right, the last thing we have to do here to get prepped and ready to go for our next video lesson starting tomorrow is we need to delete all of the white space. So we're going to double click on the word background in the background layer, and we're going to call this line layer and click OK. Stop the video, do that now. All right, the next step is we need to delete all of the white space. So we're going to go up to select, color range, and this dialog box should pop up, and I want you to click anywhere on the white space in your image. It should look like this in your dialog, and click OK. So what we've done here is we've selected all of the white pixels, and then on your keyboard you're simply going to hit the delete key and select, deselect. Stop the video, do that now. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of some of these speckles in here. So we're going to grab our eraser tool.
Dakota Creekmore, if you're in the building,
excuse the announcement.
Dakota Creekmore.
And your bracket keys, which are those little square end keys on your next to your P on your keyboard. The right bracket key will make your paintbrush and editing tools bigger. The left will make it smaller. So we're going to go through and we're just going to erase those excess little black dots. Stop the video, do that now. All right, that's it. We're done with the coloring book lesson for today. When you're done with this, make sure you close it before you log out of Photoshop. But if you have time remaining, what I would like you to do is to try this with another photo. So I'm going to briefly show you how to do that. So you could open up your own image, or you could even copy one from the internet. So if I went to the internet, let's see here. If I can pull up my internet. Oh, just need a new tab. Okay, and from here we're going to go to images, and you can search. So let's say I wanted butterfly photos, of which I already have one. I would suggest that you search for a large size image. And then you just have to copy it. So I'm right clicking and copying. I'm going back to Photoshop, File, New, just hit Create because it's going to create it the right size, and then Edit, Paste. And if you know the keyboard shortcuts, you know how to do it. And then you're off and running. Then you can go ahead and re-follow back through the video. Go ahead and give it a try. See if you can create another coloring book file if you have time left in class. Good job.